The late afternoon sun shed golden light upon the small town of Willow Creek as Victoria Hayes, a renowned black colonel, returned from a long overseas tour, drove into the parking area of the nearby Evergrove Market. It was a hot Saturday, and Victoria, dressed informally in a white blouse, faded blue jeans, and scuffed sneakers, enjoyed the unusual slice of merging with the civilian world unseen and untroubled by her military title. The market was humble but lively, filled with families finishing their weekend shopping. Victoria strolled slowly down the aisles, her hands stroking items thoughtfully as she picked up necessities. The simple ritual of choosing bread, milk, and detergent seemed like a bit of a treat after years of leading soldiers through dust and bullets. She had just turned the corner on to the canned goods aisle when her eye was caught by a disturbing apparition: a tall white man in police uniform. Later, she would learn his name was Officer Eric Langford was casually tossing things into his cart. A packet of ramen noodles slipped from his hand and onto the ground, followed soon by a 2-liter bottle of cola that rolled out into the center of the aisle. Victoria stopped. The man glanced down at the items that had fallen, sneered slightly, and continued on without second thought. A low, smoldering fire burned within her sense of duty. Eye for detail and regard for public spaces had been imparted in her. With every day of work setting down her basket, she walked up to him gently. "Excuse me, sir," Victoria answered, her voice calm but firm. "You dropped something. It would be nice to pick it up so other people don't trip." Eric wheeled around, his face filled with disdain as his cold blue eyes ran over her from head to toe. His lip curled with contempt. "Who the hell do you think you are?" he bellowed, enough for others down the street to hear. "Perhaps concern yourself with your own wreckage instead of lecturing an officer." Victoria held her ground. Respecting public space isn't about who you are. It's about being decent. Eric pushed the stench of cheap aftershave off his body. His voice dropped into a mocking whisper. "Though loud enough to be heard, a woman like you doesn't get to tell a man like me what to do. Especially a black woman who thinks she's someone." The words hung in the air, acidic and calculated. Some of the shoppers turned to glance. One woman quietly pulled out her phone recording. Victoria breathed deeply, centering herself. She had handled missile fire, life or death negotiations. But the casual venom of racism was a war all in itself. "I'm asking you nicely," Victoria said, voice smooth. "Please pick up the items." Eric laughed coarsely. "Or what, you going to cry to management? Maybe you should go back to wherever it is you belong." Victoria's jaw was gritted. She knew it would be safer to leave. She also knew silence had never hurt anything. "I'm warning you," she said gently, the steel in her voice unmistakable. "You keep on doing that, and there will be repercussions." Eric's nostrils flared suddenly. He advanced closer, his badge glinting under the fluorescence, the muscles in his jaw clenching. "You threatening me?" he spat. "Little lady, you don't know who you're messing with, and you," Victoria responded evenly, "have no idea who you're disrespecting." Her calm angered him. His hand flashed to his belt, fingers brushing the holster at his hip. Gasps disturbed the aisle. Some persons stepped backward, others kept on recording. "You're fortunate I don't arrest you on the spot," he sneered. "How does that sound? Disorderly conduct, resisting authority." Victoria's heartbeat slow and steady, a rhythm long honed under stress. She tilted her chin slightly. "You draw that gun," she whispered softly, "and you will be standing before a courtroom today." Eric's face twisted with rage in one swift spur of the moment. He pulled out his gun and kept it trained straight at Victoria's chest. Screams rang out, shopping carts overturned. Mothers hid their children, but Victoria did not flinch. "You've just made the worst mistake of your career," she said to him. Not dropping her eyes from him, she reached calmly into her pocket, pulled out her phone, and pressed one speed dial button on the other end. A voice answered right away. "This is Victoria Hayes. I need help at Evergrove Market." "Urgent!" Eric's smirk dropped. He shifted uncomfortably but maintained the gun focused on her. "You're bluffing," he told her. Minutes crawled by like hours, then a deep, unmistakable rumble shook outside. A sleek, black SUV skidded into the parking lot, emblazoned with the state seal. From it stepped Governor Malcolm Reed, along with his security detail. The supermarket came to a standstill. Shoppers whispered in disbelief. The governor himself, a man whose integrity was his hallmark unmatched, strode through the sliding automatic doors. His eyes swept the uproar before alighting on Victoria. "Connell Hayes," he spoke, voice resonating through the supermarket. "Are you all right?" A gasping rush of breath. Colonel, the dawning awareness swept the room like an instant wind. Those who had assumed Victoria to be just a civilian now realized the truth. Eric's face paled. His gun slumped. "Governor Reed," he stuttered. The snubbed him. He turned to his security team secure the weapon he ordered before Eric could react. Two agents moved in and disarmed him quickly and professionally. His complaints were ignored. Governor Reed stood before him with an icy glare. "You threatened a loaded gun at a decorated officer of the United States military," he said in a public place. "Over your own misconduct," Eric stuttered. Apologies, sweat streaming down his temples. "It was a misunderstanding. She was menacing me." The governor cut him off brusquely. "We have a number of video recordings. Your behavior is indefensible." Turning to Victoria, he said, "Thank you for keeping your head. Your restraint is exemplary." Victoria nodded in silence. Police reinforcements arrived a few minutes later. Eric was arrested. His rights were read to him as shocked mall shoppers watched. The story broke across the news that evening. Footage from the onlookers' phones played on all the major networks. A racist cop abusing his power in a racist manner, and a black colonel who stood against without violence, without intimidation, within 48 hours. Eric Langford lost his badge and formally charged with assault with a deadly weapon, reckless endangerment, and civil rights violations. Governor Reed held a press conference promising pledge of sweeping reforms to retrain officers on bias de-escalation and respect for civilians, especially veterans and disadvantaged groups. Victoria Hayes came back quietly home after her ordeal. She avoided interviews instead to let the truth speak for itself. On her heart, she knew the battle wasn't over, but that day in a small market in Willow Creek, a war had been won not only for her, but for every silent voice in waiting to be heard. And somewhere deep within her, she gave herself a small, hard-won smile, because dignity, no matter how often it is tested, doesn't shatter. It only burns the more fiercely under fire.